Ava and Carol Detective Agency. The Mystery of the Pharaoh's Diamonds. A million thoughts ran through Carol's mind as she descended. She knew that the ventilation system was only about 40 feet long, but it seemed like it was a mile. The duct system ran downward at a manageable angle, and then for the last 8 feet dropped nearly straight down. Carol wedged her arms and her feet against the walls of the duct and slowly maneuvered herself down to where the ventilation system made the 8-foot vertical drop. Wedging her sneakers against the side of the shaft, she slowly shifted her body weight from side to side, inching down until she finally reached the bottom. She sat quietly, listening. She had done her best to be silent on her descent, but it wasn't easy, especially when you combine rubber-soled sneakers and aluminum. But all was quiet. She gently pulled out her phone and whispered, "I made it! Everything is okay." Ava let out a sigh of relief when she heard Carol's voice. She had been crawling along the rooftop, keeping track of the security detail and watching to see if any other visitors arrived. So far, except for the very predictable orbit of the security guards, all else was quiet. Carol crouched down in front of the air conditioning vent and listened. The secure room was silent and dark, except for a bright red light that stared at her like a cyclops. Using her pen light, she counted 6 screws. "Okay," she whispered as she wiped her hands off on her pants. She slowly unscrewed the first screw. "That was easy." She held the screw in her left hand and was starting on the second when she heard footsteps approaching. She flicked off her pen light and closed her eyes as the room was flooded with powerful, bright fluorescent lights. She listened intently, willing her heart to slow down. The door to the room whooshed open, and men's voices filled the air. She heard a heavy thud, followed by the sound of a metallic locking device.
"The captain will be proud,"
laughed a deep voice.
"A priceless piano, Chopin's last handwritten concerto, and the coup de grace, the Ramesses diamonds."
Carol silently pressed the record button on the GoPro.
"The piano is absolutely gorgeous. A spectacular piece,"
said a high, nasally voice. Carol scrunched down as much as humanly possible and peeked through the vent. She could see 4 men in the room. A tall, wispy man in a dark suit, with black hair streaked with silver, was rubbing his hand across the piano. She guessed the high-pitched voice belonged to him. Another man, whom Carol guessed was the second man from the Mercedes, was grinning from ear to ear. His bald head glistened like a light bulb in the brightly lit room. Carol silently removed the GoPro from her head and aligned it with an opening in the vent. She could have kicked herself. She missed the part where they had talked about Ramesses' diamonds.
"The piano itself is worth close to $10 million,
said the deep-voiced man.
"And the concerto should easily fetch close to $1 million.
"All incredibly amazing and appreciated,"
said the nasally man.
"I was told you have an ingenious plan for delivering the diamonds."
Yes,"
laughed the deep-voiced man. He smiled mischievously.
"You see, this piano comes with a secret."
Carol could see the man with the deep voice clearly now. He wore a charcoal gray suit that matched his salt and pepper, closely shaved hair.
"You see," he laughed, "Chopin's last concerto will actually deliver the diamonds to your client."
Carol watched the thin man's face fill with confusion.
"I'm not sure what you mean."
"George, show Mr. Snow our little secret."
Carol gasped as a man sat at the piano. She recognized him from the museum. It was George, the security guard.
Yes, Mr. Roach.
George sat at the piano and played a series of notes. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Suddenly, a tiny drawer about the size of a cell phone slid open.
Just let the captain know that he merely needs to play the first 13 notes of the concerto, and his diamonds will appear,
smiled Mr. Roach. George gently tapped the front of the drawer, and it slid back into place.
That's brilliant,
gasped Mr. Snow. The hidden mechanism is so perfectly designed that it will not show up on any X-ray. It'll merely look like the inner workings of the piano.
This is perfect,
gasped the nasally guest, clasping his hand in delight.
And the diamonds, they are safe?
Yes, the diamonds will be inside a foam pouch made of high-Z foam, which actually blocks and scatters X-rays. We are taking every precaution necessary to protect them.
So the diamonds will be hidden in the piano when you transport it to the auction tomorrow?
asked the bald man, needing reassurance.
When we deliver the piano and the other items to the private auction tomorrow, everything will be in place for immediate shipment. We'll place the diamonds in the piano before everything is moved to the armored car tomorrow. Tell the captain that we have arranged for a direct flight of a cargo jet from Hanskin Airport to a private airstrip in Ireland.
I will let the captain know. He will be most pleased,
said the nasally man, his voice quivering with excitement.
I'm sure he will,
said the deep-voiced man.
Shall we?
He said, motioning toward the door. The group of men walked toward the door. There was a loud metallic click, and then a whoosh as the door swung open.
When can we expect delivery?
Carol wasn't sure who the voice belonged to. She thought it sounded like the bald man. Just before the door slammed shut, she heard someone say, "We're leaving at noon." Carol sat motionless, waiting another few seconds, and then turned on her penlight. She had everything she needed. Ava jumped when she heard Carol's voice.
"I'm on my way,"
she whispered breathily. Ava closed her eyes. Those were the best 4 words she'd ever heard.
"Awesome. Climb carefully,"
she whispered, her voice filled with excitement. The electronic chirp-chirp of a car unlocking made Ava jump. She quickly traversed the rooftop in a semi-crouched position, not because she had to, but because she thought it looked cool. Cautiously, she peered over the edge. The super-sleek security golf cart had pulled to a halt in the parking lot. The 2 guards watched as the Mercedes backed up and pulled away. The guard at the wheel touched his ear. Ava was close enough to hear, "They've left. All's clear." Then, with a high-pitched whine, the golf cart pulled away from the curb to begin another orbit around the auction house.
"Ava,"
a voice whispered. Ava jumped back from the edge of the building. She clutched her heart. She was pretty sure it had leapt out of her body and was sprinting away to safety without her. She whirled around to find Carol crouched down behind her.
"Jeez, what are you, part cat? I didn't even hear you."
Carol put her hand on her friend's shoulder.
"Ava,"
she whispered breathlessly.
"They have the diamonds."
What? Wait, you saw them? Did you get the diamonds?
She asked, grabbing her friend's shoulders excitedly.
"No, listen. They're going to hide them in a secret compartment in Chopin's piano."
That's crazy,
Ava whispered.
Then it is the dude from Ireland. So he'll buy the piano at auction, the diamonds will be inside, then it's shipped to him in Ireland?
"Yes, and since he knows that there are millions of dollars in the piano, he'll feel comfortable outbidding everyone else."
You've got to admit, it's a pretty good way to smuggle goods out of the U.S.
"Oh, I almost forgot. They refer to the billionaire in Ireland as the captain.
Captain? Snorted Ava, rolling her eyes. For real?
It's horrible, I know.
Carol smiled.
We've solved the case, Big Brain. I think we should call the police.
We will.
Carol paused.
If you're enjoying Thomas Lockhaven's audiobook content, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel.